Very warm welcome to everyone. I was considering starting today because we're doing the five elements. I was thinking of doing some breath work before we start the meditation, and I was going to do what's called pranayama, which is alternate nostril breathing, to work with the air element. So if you're happy to try that, we'll do that now. So if you take your two bigger fingers and put them on your forehead, and then use your right hand, as it were, and the thumb to block the nostril, and then breathe in, and then switch over to the finger to the next to the little finger and breathe out. And then breathe in through the same nostril. Switch over to the thumb and then breathe out. And we'll just do this for about 3 minutes. Could, could I suggest that you breathe in for about an extra second longer to fill your lungs? It's best if you fill your tummy first and then your chest area. And then when you breathe out, if you use the diaphragm to empty your lungs completely for a second or two before you take the next breath. So you're basically trying to use the full capacity of your lungs. The purpose for doing this is it's supposed to synchronize your left and right hemispheres of the brain so that they come into synchrony. If you stay conscious of the air and be aware of its fragrances and the temperature and things like that, it just helps you to focus on your breathing. And then just keeping the eyes closed. If you just take your hand away and just breathe normally for a little while and use your breath to take you down into the silence. When you feel your mind expanding and you're losing the memory of your body, just we'll just start to chat about the five elements, as it were. And again, just keep breathing, as it were, to help you go down into the silence, but I was going to start by talking about planting a seed. I mean, what a good gardener does is first of all, they normally dig over the patch of ground that they're going to plant the seeds in. So if you can imagine them digging over that patch of ground, what you're actually doing is mixing the ether element, the air element with the soil. So you're adding space to the soil and you're also adding air into the soil so that the soil's becoming lighter and, breaking up all the lumps of the soil, as it were, and creating a seed bed to plant the seed in. And then the next stage is perhaps to dig a trench and drop the seeds in there. And then a good gardener will be doing this at the time of year when the fire element is getting stronger in terms of the sunshine, as it were. So at the beginning of spring, you would plant the seeds, and knowing that the days will get warmer, and when you cover the seeds up, then a good gardener would water the seeds into the ground. So you're basically mixing all the five elements together. You've got the ether or akasha. It can also be called, but I would also call it the seed itself. Most seeds have an earth space in the middle, which would have the space element there, or ether, or akasha. They all basically mean the same thing. And but I would also add consciousness and spirit as well to that list. So if you can see how the five elements are working, and throughout the growing season, the good gardener would try and keep those five elements in balance, and the plant would grow healthily, as it were, to its full potential. And so we move on to the birth of a child. What you tends to happen is, as the baby is born, it takes that first breath, as it were, which is basically the air element coming into the baby. The mother then puts the baby on her breast and breastfeeds it, or an alternate method perhaps as well. But they add the water element or a liquid element to it. And then, throughout the baby's life, you feed it with the earth element in terms of vegetables that have grown in the earth or plants that have grown in the earth. So, and again, you need the fire element in terms of warmth around the baby. So, as we move on to talk about the five elements in other areas, if you talk about the five elements in astrology, for instance, you've got the zodiac with the earth, air, fire, and water, but none of the planets can exist without the space element for them to float through. So you can see the five elements at work in that situation as well. And then if we move on to Ayurveda, which is the Indian health system, which I'm not sure how much you know about it, but it's based around different types of bodies, and you have Kapha, Pitta, and Vata types of bodies. A Vata person would be someone who's quite slim with dry skin, who's mainly the ether element or the space element and an air element. And then a Pitta person would be someone with quite a fiery personality, They would have both fire and water as their element. And then the kapha person is someone who is normally a heavy person, well built. Quite often they put on weight because the earth element and the water element cause you to have weight gains, as it were. So what you're basically trying to do in Ayurveda is to balance the five elements within your body. For instance, someone, if you like, of a kapha personality would probably eat lots of food that are perhaps have hot spices in them, or hot curries and things like that. A fiery person would probably want to ground themselves a lot by eating root vegetables or something like that. And the same with a Vata person who would tend to be, quite a creative person. That they normally experience a lot of creativity, but at the same time they can appear a little bit spaced out, as it were, because of the space element within them. So that they need sort of the heavier qualities of the earth element and the fire and the water to bring them into balance, as it were. So, I mean, if you want to know more about Ayurveda, you could look it up on the internet and things, but each vegetable has got, is classified in as to which element it is. For instance, an onion, perhaps you might say, has a lot of air element in it because it gives you wind. A watermelon would perhaps have a lot of water in it. And again, the root vegetables tend to be very earthy with the earth element and things like that. So, as I say, you can probably find charts on the internet for the different qualities of each vegetable that you eat, and they recommend the best way to cut the vegetables to maintain the minerals and vitamins within them is to not boil them, but to steam them, and or to saute them in ghee, which is purified butter. So again, it's just the Indian way of doing things, but there again, that there are a lot of health benefits by following that system. Anyway, we'll carry on to go into the meditation now a little bit deeper, and so again, just reconnect with the breath element and your breathing, and just go down a little bit more into the silence. As you go down into the silence, just enjoy if you like, the infinite possibilities that are available to you. And, you can think any thought in any moment. So, just if you want to choose to think about something you'd like to create, you could think a thought about it. And if you can imagine like dropping a pebble into a lake, a still lake, the pebble drops into the still lake and goes plop, and you get ripples going out in all directions from where the pebble fell into the lake. Well, in that same way, if you create a desire that you want to manifest, and if you think that thought, especially if you use your five senses when you're thinking about it, almost taste it, feel it, touch it, smell it, see it with your third eye, as it were, and then drop it into the silence and just let it go, then that thought will go out into the universe and find like energy that will help it manifest in your reality in 2 or 3 weeks' time. As we come back to the body now, just allow your attention to go within the 5 elements within your body. We've done a lot of work with the breath, so we're aware of the air element. You might have got a little bit lightheaded as we did the breathing exercise. Sometimes it can make you a little bit lightheaded as you increase the oxygen within the body. But feel the earth element in the physical structure of your body. And know that the body is 70 to 80% liquid, so you've got lots of the water element within you. The fire element within the body is the Agni, or digestive fire within the stomach. But you've also got the heat in the room and the heat from the sun as part of the fire element that keeps you warm as well. But we mainly talk about the digestive fire within the body. We'll just send healing to each of these 5 elements, just using the silence, invite the healing energy to come out of the silence, if you like, the white light that we normally get when we open up our crown chakra. You just invite that white light to flood through your body, bringing balance to the air element within the body, bringing balance to the fire element and the water element, and the heaviest one of all, the earth element, which is the physical structure of the body, the bones and the muscle content, etc., etc. Just invite them all to come back into their natural state of existence, free from any stress, free from any influence that might come from outside. Just connect them to that source energy within, knowing that this source energy is who you truly are. And know that when you align yourself with this source energy, your body becomes in perfect health, perfectly vital, charges up your energy. Is like charging a battery. Your aura and the electromagnetic field of your body gets stronger, which is what, if you like, talks through the DNA of every cell in your body. So just know that when you've got a strong energy field, the disease can't set in because of the health and vitality that you're experiencing. We start to come back to the here and now again, coming up the layers of the body. Just leaving that field of inner silence, that, if you like, akasha, or ether or space. We can see the light coming out of this field, and know that the light, if you like, converts into the physical structure of your body. If two waves of light hit each other, they convert from a wave to a particle. So, the small particles then cluster together to form the atoms of your body. They cluster together to form the molecules, that cluster together to form the cell, that cluster together to form the organs of your body. So just see yourself in these different layers as you gradually come back to the surface level of consciousness. And as you come back to the surface level of consciousness, we'll reconnect with the five senses, the sense of taste. If you taste the saliva in your mouth and smell the air with your nose and feel the touch in your fingers and your feet on the floor. Just when you're connected to your senses again, you may want to open your eyes and use your sense of sight to reconnect with the room around you. As we slowly come back to the here and now we'll perhaps have a few questions and answers to I'm sure that the discussion so far has raised a lot of questions and answers. So I'll hand you back over to David to manage the question.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to make some comments. When Gordon talks about the white light and silence, and the atoms and the molecules and the organs, I refer you back to the meditation that we had last month. It's all about that. And if it's a great listen, if I'm going to listen to it again, you just go back on Wendy's YouTube channel and get the latest one that came out like 9 days ago. So who has a comment that they want to make or a question? And use it. Oh wait, try to use the reaction button.
Yeah, my hand went up quicker.
Okay. There you go. Okay, Priscilla.
Well, George, I want to thank you so much for that. I I have had a book for years called The Science of Kriya Yoga. And it talks about this nasal breathing. And
yes, it's called pranayama, the alternate nostril breathing.
Okay. Well, I was just totally lost. I just thought this is way weird. Way weird, but you brought it down to my level, and I appreciate it, and I really appreciate that you said it will help balance the right and left brains, which is what hemisync music does, which I have had such remarkable results with. So now I have another tool. Thank you.
Okay, you're very welcome. As I say, it's a way of balancing the energies, and also, the breathing where you breathe into your tummy first and your chest area and hold the breath for a second or two, and then breathe out and use the diaphragm to empty your lungs completely. Then, that allows you to breathe fully, as it were, and And it really does charge you up. And as I say, as I mentioned in the meditation, it can make you a little bit lightheaded, as it were. As if you're not used to having a lot of oxygen in your blood, it can. But it doesn't have any serious side effects. It just helps you to energize your body, really.
Thank you. It was great.
Okay.
Julia, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yes, thank you again, George. I'm so pleased these sessions are being recorded because this is so valuable. You can get cookery books about, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, Ayurvedic cooking. I think I've got one on the shelf. I'll have to go and have a look in a moment. But I'd like to know more sometime about connecting with the source energy. Do you think that it's possible to eradicate a lot of disease? Perhaps nothing really major, but can you restore a lot of health by properly aligning with the source energy, which you mentioned during the meditation?
Yes, my own feeling is that when you take that first breath as a baby, you create like a holographic image in your nervous system, which that source energy that we're talking about then shines through that holographic image, which you could give the name of the soul, as it were. So through as the source energy shines through your soul, it creates a three-dimensional image of your body, and the DNA of each cell uses that three-dimensional image to see, so it knows what to grow into and what its role is in that particular position within the body. So, if you can imagine yourself as a hologram of light, as it were, or electromagnetic energy, as it were, with each cell, DNA programming it to the right job in the right place, and then that's how the source energy works with your physical body. But if your attention is always going outwards and you're not looking within, then you may pick up stress from the environment or something like that, which can then cause distortions within your energies, as it were, especially if you're blaming someone else for your current life position. Forgiveness is a wonderful tool for reclaiming your power. As long as you're projecting your energies to somebody else, you're giving them your power. Whereas if you forgive them and draw that energy back to yourself, you're putting yourself in charge of your life again. And if you then can connect also to the source energy, you have a very good chance of rebalancing your energy so that you live a healthy and full life. Over. Does that answer your question, Julia?
Okay, Margaret.
Sorry, George, I just tried to unmute. Yes, just thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Okay.
Margaret, unmute yourself.
George, thank you so much for that. That was wonderful, very calming. I felt, I'm not sure if this applies or not. I hope it does, because I found it a very calming meditation. It was wonderful. I usually get visions behind my eyes, and I will see the background is usually like in red, and then the vision outlines are usually in black. This time, the background energy was royal purple, and then black as the outline. A couple of days ago, I lost my cat, and it's, oh dear, sorry, it's been very hard. But a couple of days before she passed, I was clipping her nails, and I clipped the quick, which I've never done before, and her nail started to bleed. So they say you should put it in, put the paw in baking powder or cornstarch or flour to cauterize it, and then wrap it in gauze and then squeeze it, hold it for 10 minutes. What I felt in this session is it was her left foot. Someone or something grabbed my thumb, my left thumb, and was squeezing it. So I thought that was probably her. And I also saw a vision of a very large cat's eye. And so I know that that was her in my vision that I saw. But the squeezing of the thumb was really quite something, because I've never felt that before. So that was lovely. So thank you very, very much for that.
Okay, well, I would comment that the purple energy tends to be your, the color that connects you to spirit, as it were. So it's not surprising that your spirit friend came through, because of the purple energy that you were experiencing. With these deep meditations can, take you down to that level where you raise your vibration and become in tune with spirit around you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you.
Did anybody else have any connections that they'd like to talk about during this meditation? Peg, unmute, please. Or I can unmute you.
I just have a general question, George, that, listening to, was it Priscilla? Sorry, about what she sees on the back of her eyelids. I also see colors, and I never thought they meant much other than what my blood and sight were doing. And now you give me pause to think that possibly, I wonder, I mean, I usually see two colors, and sometimes they change. Usually they are like blue and yellow, and then red and purple. Sort of changing depending. Does that mean anything, George?
Well, the yellow color, is associated with the solar plexus region. If you were opening the chakra, and that energy area is mainly your emotions. So you may have been activating your emotional center, and the blue color is almost like clairaudience, as it were. Your throat and your speech and things like that is where the throat chakra is. So you may be opening up the clairaudience within you, as it were. I don't know if you were hearing any messages at all. Or...
I really was not hearing messages. I really have to say that your breathing technique and the way you did it really is the first time I've really felt what it means. I love your style, your method, and I often have problems seeing things other than where my mind is gone. So that has always troubled me. I think as David might know, I messaged him one time about that. He was wonderful. So can I ask another question about what you see on the back of your eyes? I mean, George, do you see something on the back of your eyelids? Marge is nodding her head. Please tell me, do you mind?
Well, most spiritual people would see through their third eye, which is, the center of your forehead, basically. I mean, you may think you're looking through the back of your eyes, but it may be higher up. It may be where your third eye is that your clairvoyance actually takes place. So just be aware of that as well. But if you open the brow chakra, then you would have clairvoyance coming through. through that chakra point.
And what you see, is that important as far as light clairvoyance?
I don't know. At the end of the day, you're in charge. You decide, you know, whether to use the information you're receiving or not use it. You know, it's your choice. You know, we're not bound by what's coming at us, as it were. You know, but you've got to use your own discretion to decide whether it's useful to you or not.
Thanks for that. Marge, you're nodding like you seem to have a little experience with what I'm talking about.
Yes, indeed. Well, you know, I mean, through life, I think we all have most of the experiences that someone, you know, other people have, as it were. You know, I mean, the universe is very good at giving you a lot of contrast in your life.
I see.
Where we experience all the pairs of opposites. You know, you have good years and bad years, and you have you know, different issues in your life.
I'd like to respond to Peg.
Thanks, David.
Yeah, I started seeing things about 5 years ago when I began my quest. Usually in meditation like this, or when I go to sleep right away, I shut my eyelids, and it was purples and blues and that type of thing, which is your third eye. So I think I'm seeing things in my third eye. And that was the beginning of my development of mediumship, if you want to put it that way. So I always like I was where you were, I was wondering, what is this? And it just kept happening, and it just kept developing more and more. So I think it's a common thing.
Thank you.
So it's good that you're having it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Priscilla. Okay, you're muted.
I have my book out.
Okay.
Spiritual Science of Kriya Yoga. And I see alternate breathing, an alternate breathing technique under the pranayama chapter. They have all kinds of breathing techniques here, but this is the alternate one. So I'm going to be studying this, but now I know how to do it. So this is great. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
But I wanted to make another comment. I think at some point you must have said something about imagine where you want to be or visualize where you want to be. And I just saw quite an interesting testimonial on YouTube yesterday of a young man who was sick. He was not getting better. Nothing was working. He was getting worse. He tried what the doc said, and he finally decided he was going to do it himself. And he got the feeling of somehow or another he had an awakening of some sort, and he got the feeling of wellness. Feeling of wellness. And he just went with it. He just savored it. He just meditated on it. And wouldn't you know it, he got better. Now then, last night in a dream, I think it was a dream. I'm not for sure. I think it was a dream. Now, I'm older than I look. I'm 76. I don't know where my brown hair came from, but and I have the energy of an 85-year-old, maybe, for various reasons. Various challenges I have. I must have dreamt it in the night that I had slept, I was rested, and I was ready to go. And I had this sense of wellness. So I'm going to be cultivating that. It was a great feeling. It made me feel like I was 35 again.
Good. My screensaver on my computer has the word wellness right across it, and lots of different flowers and colors, and that comes on when my computer goes to sleep, as it were, or when I'm not using it.
Nice.
But as I mentioned earlier, your body's a hologram of what you think about it. So, if you listen to the self-talk that you have, if you keep telling yourself you have a problem,
You're
then
gonna have a problem.
then you have a problem. But if you think to yourself you're getting better and better every day, then the problem is getting less and less every day. So, positive thinking can be very helpful to you.
Well, positive thinking is the key.
Indeed, exactly.
Yeah.
In it, as I say, your body is a hologram of what you think about it, as it were. But it's nice to have that source energy as well, which shines through your soul and hopefully holds everything in the right place at the right time. And it also means that you have synchronicity from the whole universe as well. When you're in tune with the source energy, then the whole universe is the thoughts that are coming into your mind are being supported by the whole universe, as it were. So, you find yourself doing effortless living, as it were, where what you want to do is what the universe wants you to do, and the doors open as you get to them, as it were.
Very good.
Nice. Thank you. Now I could say more about auras. I've recently taken to being able to see, if I work on it, auras. What you're thinking affects your aura. Yeah,
Yeah,
once
sure.
again, I found a good YouTube video, a really simple way to see auras, and it worked for me. And so now I'm able to see my aura. And I mean, well, I have to work at it. I just don't see it. And when I give myself positive thoughts and gratitude, and the aura, the light expands.
Mm.
Cool.
Yeah, that sounds lovely. I think next month, by the way, at the last meditation meeting, there was a lot of requests for telepathy, for talking to animals and things, and again, for talking to people in spirit as well. So the emphasis next month will be on animal communication or communication to spirit as well. So
Yay, 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 yay.
yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. Boy, I won't miss that. Could I just say something to Priscilla? What you're saying is absolutely correct. But what George said is something that I've learned as well. And I've learned not from me, but from galactic presence and all this stuff. They're saying if you see yourself as being healthy when you're sick, see yourself as being a healthy person, that's a great way to get rid of the disease. So see yourself as being healthy, whole, happy, content, all that kind of stuff. But just see yourself as being healthy, and you will be healthy. That's it.
Thank you.
I'd like
You're
to,
welcome.
before we finish up here, Denise, I was wondering, you don't have to talk if you don't want to, but Denise is a medium, and I'd just like to get back to the colors and see if you have any of these, Denise.
Hi, I just want to say thank you, George. I'd send a text. Thank you, George and David.
Sure.
Yeah, as far as colors, yes, absolutely associated with the chakras. What was interesting for me is they came in one at a time. And the impression I got when the first color came in is that was an opening. You know what I mean? Like one color came in and then another color came in. And what's really, really cool is Violet had never come through. Violet came through for me, maybe about 2 months ago. That was the last color for me to go through. But I also know too that the colors they're also associated to angels.
Okay.
So I get the turquoise a lot. I get a lot, and that's the throat chakra. That's communication. But it's also a couple of angels that that I work with, the red. It depends upon too if you channel a lot, because the red is Mother Mary Magdalene is associated to red. Mother Mary is associated to turquoise. So you can get into the colors as far as the chakras, but there's also in meditation you're connecting to another consciousness, so you're going to another realms. And it's my understanding that when you're in meditation and those colors are coming through, it's usually the energy of the source that's coming through, but it also could be a loved one too. That's just that's the information that I've got. I'm still wrapping, I'm kind of new to it, so I'm wrapping my head around all of it, about what my beliefs are. But I definitely think it's important here to mention that those colors can be associated to angelic beings, or not just angelic beings, ascended masters. Buddha comes through, he brings through a color. Green brings through certain ascended master. I can go on and on and on. But that is certainly another thing to keep open. And it's like when you are in meditation and that color comes through, one, what intention did you set for that meditation? Two, what were you thinking about at the moment that color came through? And three, what's going on around you? Because, it could be any one of those three, and probably more, in my opinion. So you probably got more than you bargained for.
No, that's great great information you just gave us. Thanks, Denise. I'd like to bring Christine in here. She came a little bit late, but do you have anything that you'd like to ask Christine?
Hi. Yeah, my camera, I don't know. Anyway,
It's okay.
yeah, Peg knows me real well, and I missed the meditation. I'm really sorry.
No, that's okay. You told me you work a lot and stuff, and your schedule, right?
I don't really work, do I?
Okay,
Peg?
well, maybe I got the wrong Christine then.
David will send the meditation to Wendy.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Actually, yeah.
By next week, you should be able to see the meditation, so you can catch it then.
Go ahead.
I have to say, she's being way too humble. This girl, you got it right, David. She works, she sees. She's just very shy about it. I get to hear it because she's a very good friend of mine, and we talk almost daily. This is one creative person who has a lot of gifts that she really is quite shy about. So, David, you did the right thing by asking her, but she's being shy right now. And she also said her tummy is hurting her. So,
okay. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. All righty. So we meet on the last Friday, the last Saturday of the month. So the next one is June 28th. And send everybody that's here will get an email. And it's pretty easy for me to send out the meditations, George, myself. And
Yeah.
I may do that to everybody here today. And in addition, Wendy, it'll be sent to Wendy also, eventually get up on her YouTube.
Yep.
Anybody else have anything that they want to add before we end the
Have you
meeting?
got everyone's email addresses? No new people?
I just want to make sure that I got the right Christine, but I can get that from Peg. So I think I'm okay. I got everybody.
Okay.
Anybody else have any last comments before we end it? Okay, one, going down, going once, going twice.
Just saying thanks again. It was wonderful.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks everybody for coming, and we'll see you next time.
It was
Excellent.
wonderful. Thank you, George. Thank you, David. Keep
You're
up the
welcome.
good work.
All right, see you all
Bye.
later.
Thanks. Lovely to see you all. Bye bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.